So I'm recording this so we can email it to you folks afterwards. So if anyone has to walk out of the room or miss any part of it, you can catch back up. So the main portion is I want to really record that demo so you get that piece. We're going to go through the demo, and we'll spend most time on there. And any questions that you ask will all be recorded, and so you can get the answers to those questions. So I already gave the background of ardentCause, and I didn't record that, so that's okay. And then some of the benefits and features, I'm going to show you the benefits and features of DataSnapz more when we're doing the demo, but I'll just run through it. That we do a professional setup, so the account that you see is different from the account another organization would see. It will look the same and has the same features, but the general setup of what's on the dashboard and what data is being collected is different. Those are the flexibility variables that the way we've built the platform, we can match it to any type of tracking that is related to that organization's program, but you get all the benefits. So if we add a new feature, everyone gets that new feature. You don't have to ask, or you don't have to pay for that new feature. Only if you're trying to add a report or something specific to your data, then that's when we kind of work with you to do that, and there's usually a cost associated with that. That's part of the setup cost. I know you guys are through United Way folks, so we'll talk more about that kind of down the road. Right now I just want to get you comfortable in using DataSnapz. So the first thing you see when you log in is the dashboard, and there's the dashboard elements we'll go through. There's a report builder where your staff can make their own reports. It's very easy to use. I'll show you that today. And then all the data entry forms have data validation on them, like as you're putting data in. It's probably not as noticeable in your account because, again, there's not a whole lot of variability in what you're typing. It's usually you're scoring something, you're picking from a drop-down, but I'll still show you some of that. And we're all about data accessibility here. So data accessibility means having access to your data from wherever you are at any time. DataSnapz is available 24/7 if you have internet connection and a web browser. So we let you download all your data and always have the ability to extract it if you want to do anything with it in Excel, things like that. So this is DataSnapz. When you first log in, this is what it would look like. This is a demo account. It's similar to your account, but it is the quality aging matrix in this demo account as opposed to United Way's year 2 matrix, or I think they're on the year 3, which is no different than the year 2. But so when you first log in, you're going to see your logo here, and you're going to see your account avatar here. You don't have to have one. I have one. This is the administration. If you click your name here, it's all the admin type of stuff, and you can get the help. If you click this, a little chat will open up, and you can ask questions. If you have them at any time, it goes to our wonderful support team. And they're only online certain hours of the day, like most working days. If you're working late at night, this will still work. You just won't get a response right away. It'll just post a ticket. So if I wanted to go to my profile, I can do that. And there's me. So this is your information. You can change your password from here. If you are an admin, you can, anyone can go to organization. This will be your organization's information, and all of the users on your account will be listed here. Admins, whoever set up as an administrator, if you were an administrator on MatrixPath, you will be an administrator here. You have the option to add users and edit users. It's the only difference between admins and non-admins. So regular staff can only edit their own profile. Admins can edit anyone's profile. So they can essentially turn people off, change their information. Mostly it's useful for adding the users. When you add a user, they get emailed right away. So if I added a user right now, they're immediately going to get emailed. So everyone here who has an account in MatrixPath will get emailed once we're setting up your account. But that's part of the transition not to log in yet because we're still doing the data import. Don't log in until that time frame that it shows in your timeline, for whatever it says you can log in for the data import. And we'll also email you again once it's done. Usually we're done much faster than that time frame. Okay, so on the dashboard, all the United Way agencies see the same dashboard elements. It was kind of something we determined across the board. You get 3 charts. If there is another set of indicators or metrics that you would like to see on the dashboard, that can be taken directly to United Way. We can do that for you, and potentially, I mean, I don't know if they would. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but because they're paying for your account, you know, they get a general setup. But you are able to add whatever elements you want. Just as if you would go to your IT department and ask them to do stuff, you can go to us and ask us to do things. But there's a cost associated, so we don't charge you anything until you know, we set in stone what it is that you want to do. Adding a chart or adding a dashboard or adding new data elements is really very simple. But that's all on our end. Our ardentCause takes care of that. Any questions so far? Okay, so just a couple things you can do on the dashboard. When you start seeing real data in here, it'll make more sense. You have a lot of more well, this says 2007, but there's not jumps from 2007 to 10 to, you know, your account will actually have data for many months, and it'll have a lot of data in here. So you can hone in on this chart by using these, and it changes the time frame on there, and all you're doing is changing this view. The chart will be reset. If you don't like line chart, you can see it as a bar, and again, it's just that it'll always reset back to normal and for everyone else. You can always see the data that makes up that chart by clicking that icon right there, and it shows you kind of a tab delimited. You can copy this and put it into Excel and make a chart in Excel if you want. That was this button here. These buttons do different things, and you can also download this. If you want to put it into an email or a PDF or a PowerPoint, you can click this button, and it will download an image of my chart, which opened up on a different screen right there. It's the same chart. So if I change the handlebars here and change the time frame, it'll download that. Further down is another chart. This one is this is just for the past 30 days. Clients in crisis, which means clients with scores 1 or 2 in each domain, and you can hone in on a particular domain by clicking in the legend to turn things off, and they'll always go back to normal by clicking the reset button here. There's just some of the things you can do with the charting. This is all updated in real time. I'm going to show you the add data section now. The add data are the forms. So when you add data into forms, the charts are updated in real time. It's just showing what the live data is. Okay, so we're gonna go through everything on the left side before I start clicking around in here. We're gonna show you. I showed you the administration on the top right, which you don't really do that every day. Day to day, when you're logging in, inputting data, you want to know everything on the left-hand side here. So the dashboard is the first one. Add data are where your input forms are. Before I click into there, I want to show you the lookup and edit. There's only one option. You can look up and edit by client, and that's how you would look up clients' history, find all your clients, and edit assessments, edit client information. It can all be done pretty seamlessly in here. And then when you're making reports, you can do them under the reports. So we're going to go through each one of those. So first thing under add data is client. So I click the client. This is a client form that looks very similar to anyone who has used MatrixPath before. It's all the same questions. It just looks a little different. So you still have the local ID, which allows you to track an ID. If you're tracking that client in a different system, you can use that same ID here in case that's more comfortable and easier for you to look up. That's not required though. And then birthday is, I guess, the only one of these fields, maybe a zip code. If you can see that it's telling me what format to put it in. Same thing with birthday. So if I type in 1952 11 12. So it doesn't let me type in anything other than valid data. So if I type in letters, it doesn't let me do it. If I type in a 4, can't have a a 2-digit date, starts with a 4, and for a date. So that kind of gives you an idea how that works. So, and then I'm not going to click submit, but you get the point. So one of the things I want to point out is, do you notice how some of these fields have turned green? Those are the fields that I've typed in. They've turned green. So what that means is the system is saving your progress. So if I was to leave this page and go back to the dashboard, or if I was to get signed out, if I had to answer a phone call and forgot what I was doing, and like, oh yeah, I was adding a client. I'm going to go back to the client page. It's going to pick up right where I left off. It shows my same client, local ID, date of birth that I typed in, and it reminds you. So every user can have one draft submission, which is what this is, incomplete draft. It reminds you at the top. The form below is an incomplete draft from this date created by me. I will only see my own. So every JFS user can have one draft submission per form. It doesn't affect anyone else. It's just when you go back to that form, it'll pick up where you left off. So that it's always auto-saving. That's one thing that I know that would always kind of came up with MatrixPath. The long assessment. I'm going to go to that assessment right now. But same goes for this long assessment. You could be all the way down in the middle of your work and then get signed out or lose internet connection or whatever it is, and it'll pick you up where you left off. So a little more about the assessment here. This is the QAM assessment, but you can get the picture. If I did a search here, then it's going to show me a list of all the clients that is in my account, and it only shows you 10 at a time. So you can increase that here. You can go through the pages here, or I can just hone that in. So if I was looking for Jennifer, notice how I didn't have to click anything. It just kind of zeroed in on someone with the name of Jennifer. I didn't even specify first name or last name. It just knew. So you can type in the local ID. You can do anything. You will have to click search one time, but then after you click search, it's just activated, and every other thing you type in here, it will just keep honing it in. So you can do first name, last name, zip code, any combination of those. So I'm going to click Betty. You have to click for it to be accepted, and it will show the person at the top that you have selected. And then you click Save and Continue. So that process is different than MatrixPath. Whereas MatrixPath, you go from multiple pages. The assessment in DataSnapz is all on the same page. So I clicked Save and Continue. It opened up the next accordion section. This is the assessment info. I put in the date. I'm going to do, let's say that this assessment was on the 1st, and it's an intake. So actually, I think there's another assessment. I'm going to click Review, and click Save and Continue, and then it starts the next section. So this is also a little different from what you're used to. We only show you the questions that are relevant. So if you haven't answered the first question in the domain, we don't show you the next question or whatever the next question is. And depending on how you answer this question, it'll only present you the question you have to ask next. So if there's somewhere along in logic, there's times where you answer a question and then you skip 3 questions, or you skip 2 questions, and you answer the 5th question. You don't even see the questions that it skips. So if I say yes, you notice how it gives me question B, but if I said no, I'm done. It gives me a score, and I'm done. My thing turned red at the header turned, green. The header turned green. I must be colorblind today. And then you click Save and Continue, and you move on to the next section. Does the individual have significant physical health problems? Yes. Ask me the next one. If I say no, it asks me D. So it skipped B and C. And then if I answer yes and yes, then you get a score and you move on. So again, if I was to get sidetracked and I had to sign out and sign back in, and then I realized I was in the middle of an assessment, then it's going to pick me up where I left off. It still has Betty logged in, and I can see that I answered these 2 domains. I can go right to where I left off. So if you If this was from a long time ago and you don't know if you want to start over, you can just click this button. It says click here. You can read this message. People don't understand it. We should keep trying to change it. But it says it's an incomplete draft. Click here to delete this draft if you want to start over. You do not have to. But if you want a fresh form, you click that and wait a few seconds, and it refreshes the form. Your draft is deleted. So nothing. So it's not submitted into the data yet until you submit it. Until you click the submit button at the bottom. So that's it for the forms. I showed you both the client and assessment form. Are there any questions at this point? Okay, I'm going to move on to look up and edit. So if you have a client that have history and you want to see their history, that's when you would want to go to look up and edit, or potentially to edit records. Another good point, we had this question just last week, is can I submit a draft assessment and edit it later? Yes, you can. So if you're working on an assessment, you can only work on one assessment at a time. You can only have one draft. Based on the autosave feature I was mentioning, you can only have one draft. If you want to work on another client before you're finished with the current client, it's okay. You just submit it. Just submit it. Just click submit, and then you can always look up that client again. So I'll show you. Look up and edit. I didn't actually submit Betty's assessment. I deleted it, but let's see if she has any. I'll do a search, and this shows me, look up and edit. When you do a search, it shows you all the clients in the system regardless of how many assessments they have. It's just the clients. So let's find Betty. So I typed in, so there's two searches to happen here. The first search is to first populate the first set of results. I can put in first name, last name, whatever I want. I didn't. If you notice, I just clicked search, and it showed everyone in the system. I didn't have very many. But when we import all the GIFs, you're going to have hundreds of clients, so it's going to be useful to use these search boxes. If you're not sure of if it's their first name or last name or what information it is, you can click search like I did and then use this other search. This is we need to change this name. If you guys can think of a better name, this is a different search. This search box allows you, it's like an omni search. It searches across all the data fields on this table here. So I could have typed in a zip code, a first name, a last name. I didn't have to specify, and as I type, it updates my page. So if you notice, I deleted the T's, so there's BE, so it shows everything with BE. So it could have been in there, and then everything with a B in there. So the more you type, the more it hones in on what you're looking for. A couple other things here. Most of the time you're not going to spend a lot of time here. You're going to just click assessments and go see Betty's assessments. But I'm trying to show you everything you can do. You can download what you're looking at by clicking the CSV button or the Excel button. It'll download it in, both of them can be opened in Excel. You can open this column visibility. This allows you to see more columns. If you want to see who created a record, which of your staff created it, if you want to see what date it was created or when it was last modified, you can turn those fields on just by clicking them, and you notice that they show up now on the table here. So if I delete this, you can see all the records in the system. You can sort by them. It'll sort up and down, and then again, and now I can use those if I want to search on those. If I want to see anything that I did, I can search like that I last modified or I created. I can put my name there, and everyone else is gone. It's showing 12 entries of all the 37 that were in here. There's a couple cool things that you can do. So if I clicked edit here, it would edit this person. If I know Betty's name is spelled wrong or something, I can just click edit and it'll edit Betty. If I want to see her assessments, I click assessments. That's what I'm going to do. I clicked assessments. Betty only has one assessment. Her information is now at the top because I'm on Betty's details page. and all of her assessments would be right here. So she just has the one. And I can edit that one. So if this is an incomplete, it looks like a bunch of these domains haven't been scored, they're all zeros. I can just edit this and then continue where I left off on this domain. So I can say yes, no, no, yes, and then, okay, I gotta move on, so I'm going to click submit, and then now that assessment for Betty has been updated. So any questions with the lookup and edit section? I talked a lot. Let me just recap it all. You could click to look up your client's history of assessments or their client information. You go to look up and edit, click client, then you're presented with some search fields. You search. There are some options that you don't have to use here. You find who you want. Kevin Bacon is who I'm looking for. So I'm going to click his assessments. They have a bunch of assessments, so I can see their information here. You can download it into Excel if you want, or you can edit one of their assessments from this page. And this kind of shows you how that works. They can all be edited. So if there's no questions there, I will move on to the reports. So the reports are a really, really cool feature. I really love the reports, and we're getting a lot of great feedback. We're continuously thinking of ways that we can improve upon it, but it's very simple. So when I click the reports, you notice that there's a lot of options here. So these in the middle are all reports that staff created. Usually they're all the ones that were created in the demos that I did, and we didn't go back and delete them. But when your staff is using this, they can all make their own reports, and they'll all be saved, so you can run them at any time. You don't have to make them every single time. So there's two default buttons here, the All Reports page or the Create New Report, the very top, the very bottom. So I'm going to go to the All Reports. And this shows me a glimpse of everything that all the staff has created in this account. The name of the report, the description of the reports, who created it, the date. I can edit any of these reports, and I can view them all. I don't really trust any of these reports, so I'm just going to create a new one and show you how simple it is to create this report. It's very easy. I would suggest everyone to go and play with the report builder and try and make some reports so you're comfortable with it. You can't break anything in here. So there's 3 steps. Step 1 is to pick a table, then you choose your fields, and then you name your fields and filters. That's step 3 is optional, so it's 2 or 3 steps. So I'm going to, if I selected the assessment table, this bottom field will populate with all the columns from the assessment table. If I selected the clients table, the same thing happens. It populates with all of the columns from the client table. When you pick the client table, you can also choose the assessment table in addition to that. So you get all the fields from both tables. So you can essentially make a report with just every possible data field on there if you want, or you can make a report with last names and rating types. So let's do that. I'm going to do client ID, the last name, and let's say I want birthday too. And then I want to choose their assessment date and rating type, but I don't care about the scores. If I wanted the scores, I could go through each domain and add all the scores in there too. So I just want those 5 fields. Now, I'm done with step 2, so I'm on step 3 now. I can rename these fields. So I don't really want this whole system-generated name for the client ID. I'm just going to erase it all and put ID. Now you notice it's already changed. The report preview is showing me a glimpse of my report as I'm making it. So if I'm making a bad report, you can see that. It doesn't show me all the data, but it shows me some of it, the top 10 records, I think. I can know enough where this is going to be a crummy report if I'm going through and add too many filters. So it's all changed live. So let's say I don't want last name, I just want it to be name. Notice how that changed. Date of birth, I want to change that to, I don't know, I can't think of anything better, but if you add filters, I did DOB, but if you add filters, you can choose from all these different options for filtering. Each column allows you to filter. So I can say date of birth equals and put everyone that was born on a particular day. I can say it was not equal to. More useful is greater than. So if I want everyone that's over 18 or under a particular age, I can use greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. I can find anyone who doesn't have a date of birth by using is blank and go update those records. But whatever you choose, it's important to choose one and then type in that information. So if I want everyone who's greater than, I'll just grab one of these here. I'm going to copy and paste it because I like to cheat. Then it filters my data automatically. So I only have 4 records that are greater than that date that I put in. So obviously you can change that. But if you filter, you're not going to know that you filtered it after you save the report. It doesn't show you all the filters. All the filters are active. So you'll see it like this. So you can name it, and you can name it accordingly here. So date of birth greater than 1965. So that's the name of my field. So that makes it very obvious when you run this report 6 months from now, or a year from now, or a different staff member. So it's that easy. And now I'm going to save the report. When you save it, it's going to ask you to name your report. So I'm going to say assessments with greater than 1965. It's not a very useful report, but it's useful to me.
29.
Oh, 2965. Okay, and then you can put in a description as well to describe why you made the report, what the purpose was. Someone asked you for this data, and that's why you ran it. It's good to put that in there. I'm going to say Jamie wanted me to run this report for something. For nothing. I'm not that creative. Okay, so I'm going to click Save and Continue. It says success. You've saved your report. And I can find my report right here. Assessments with clients greater than 1965. That should have said date of birth, but you kind of get the point. So I can edit that report. I can edit the filters and the settings just by clicking Edit. It would take me back to the same page where I was creating a report, or I can just view that report. And viewing it's going to look like it did in the report builder. You have some different options because you can use the headers to sort. And then I can search. I can also download this report. So this is very useful if you want to see particular domains, if you want to add filters, so you only want to see certain scores in those domains, or you want to see all the intakes from everyone that had an intake this year or all time, and then you can download that and do whatever you want with it in Excel, or save that for later use. So you're going to have multiple pages of data. You would navigate between those pages down here and using the search. So this search works like the other search where it searches across every column. So I hope that you find that to be very easy to use, the report builder. If you ever have questions, now, feel free to ask them, or feel free to use the on-screen chat. But if you ever have questions when you're trying to make a report, or you're trying to make a particular report, you don't really know how, again, you can always go here and open up the chat and just post a question. And we're always, our support team is always very good with getting back to you as quickly as possible on any questions that are asked. Sometimes they'll say, I'll have to go find out, but I'll let you know, and sometimes that happens too. So that pretty much wraps up the demo and the training for DataSnapz. When you have your account and you start clicking around, you might have other additional questions, so feel free to contact support, contact Nancy. She's the one who sends all of you those well-worded emails with the timeline, and she'll let you know when it's time that you can log into your account. So I know we're a little bit over. I hope that's okay. I hope we still have everyone in the room. Is everyone feel comfortable?
Yes, I have a couple specific questions, if that's okay.
That's perfect.
Okay, great. I'm wondering, when we enter new assessments for clients who already have old ones in, is there any way to pop the old data back up and then we can just like edit changes and kind of save an updated version, or do we have to start with a blank slate each time?
Yeah, that's you mean like copy and save as
Yeah.
new for an assessment? That is something that someone has asked before, so we are looking into adding that. Currently, that is not a feature.
Okay.
You don't. Your best bet is to look up their past assessment and then just add a new one. And you can't see their scores.
Okay. In the old version on the MatrixPath site, when we would pull up the old assessment, we could only see the scores and not the answers to our questions. So is that going to be different now in DataSnapz?
That is going to be different. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. I skipped over that.
Okay, great. The data that's imported that we've entered in the old version, though, we're only going to be able to see the scores for that?
Correct. MatrixPath does not track the answers to questions, but DataSnapz does. So
that's great.
When you look up, so your data is going to have all the scores from MatrixPath into DataSnapz, and only going forward will we be tracking all of your assessments. So I did want to point out one more thing. I just went to the look up and edit by client, and I clicked on Kevin Bacon to see all of his assessments. And you notice how it will show you the scores here, but if you want to see the answers to questions, click the column visibility, and there's a whole bunch of other options. I can add a bunch of client data in here. And if you scroll down, the blue are selected and the white are not selected. They're hidden. So daily functioning question 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how it added all the questions here, and some of those were, you see the ones that were answered that had a score. So you can do that and then download that report if you want to do that from here. You can just add those to see how they were answered, and you can download that into Excel. Also, you can just edit it, and like you saw already, it's going to show you, it's going to show you how everything was answered, exactly how it was answered.
Great. If we wanted to just print that, do you have an easy save to PDF or print button if we wanted a copy of that with our answers, or would we have to import it into Excel?
Yeah, that was a question that came up that we're still trying to resolve that. So DataSnapz has a very easy way to convert what you're looking at into a PDF. But when we did the setup for the United Way agencies, no one wanted that in the beginning. It was determined that the agencies didn't want it. I don't think we requested agency information, but at the high level, there's no, we don't need that feature because no one was printing. We didn't have that feature in MatrixPath, so we didn't think it was. But that question has come up a lot, so we're working on a way to resolve that, hopefully soon. So when it is resolved, hopefully you'll hear of that very soon. I was just talking to I'm talking to Nancy now. I was just talking to another agency asking about the same question. So the way it would work is once you click submit, I didn't change anything here, so I think I can click submit. There would be a button right here that says PDF print, like an icon, and a down button, like an icon with a download. You just click it, and it'll download the form into a pretty PDF. The reason why it's not a built-in function is because how that looks with the questions and how the questions are formatted, and what if you don't answer a certain question, the PDF still has to look the same every single time. It's a PDF. They're not very easy to work with. So determining what that format looks like is still kind of in flux, but I'm confident that that's going to show up very soon.
Thank you. That would be great.
Right now, the way you would do it would be going to look up and edit, and then from the assessment page, doing the download here, and then once it's in Excel, you can save it as a PDF from Excel. But that's, if you have any experience with Excel, going from Excel to a print is painful. So we're hoping to alleviate that soon.
Great. And then just one more kind of specific question. If we wanted to pull a report to measure, if from those clients who had domains in crisis, what percentage had an increase in their in the status of their domain, like went from a 1 and 2 to a 3, 4, and 5. Can we pull that, and can you just talk me through that really quickly?
Yeah. Let me think about how that would work. So you want to see what clients improved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that report might be a little bit too complex for the report builder.
Okay.
But you can still accomplish it with Excel. You can do both. So if I went into the report, let me just say this. I know most people don't want to contact us to add the more advanced reports, but the report builder is allowing you to write a database query, but it can only be so simple to have an interface to allow you to do it. So,
right.
But we can write whatever query you want. Any calculations, any variables, however way, you just tell us what you want, and we can go and create that report. So you just contact support, and we can do the complicated reports. And then you'll have them. They'll always be there. You can always run them again. But if you wanted to just kind of see what you can do, and you have if you're like me and we start digging into the data, you are trying to uncover and analyze different things, and the questions keep changing, you can't contact us because we can't adapt that fast with you. So you can accomplish those things. So I would start with clicking Client, adding the assessment. So it sounds like you want pieces of information of both. Maybe you actually don't need the client information, but you can just click the client ID from the assessment table, and you want the particular piece of information. So it sounds like you probably want everything. If you're looking, let's say you're looking at a specific domain. Let's say you want to look at, they don't have employment, do they? Income. We'll do income. That's an easy one. So we'll do income, and then I have the assessment date in there and the rating type. So those are the pieces of information you need to know if it's a repeat assessment for that client. And then, so now I can see here, let me just add the last name. The last name added to the end. So you can see here that there's, all these IDs are the same, so these are all the same assessments. This data doesn't make sense for they are different dates. So 2010, 2011, 2015, there's intakes and reviews in here. So you want to see everything. For what you wanted to accomplish, you want to see everything, because it doesn't matter what they started at. You can't filter. The filtering just allows you to look at people who started low and then ended, and you want to see people who ended different than they started. So you want everything. And then I would save this report. All income scores. And then you have all income scores. I would view this. This is going to show me all my records that have a score for income. So you notice that the number is less than the total number of assessments that I had, because not everyone had a score for income. So I'm going to download that into Excel. And you have to do some, it depends on how comfortable you are doing more complicated stuff in Excel. And I probably shouldn't go through all that details. But if you click these column headers right here, you click number 1 on the column headers, and then you go to Data and click Filter, it puts these little arrows on every single column. And now that allows me to add additional filters for every column. So I don't want to turn this into an Excel class. I'd be happy to. But then what you want to do is look at your score and find people that started low. And then you can kind of, with such little data, it's easy to just do it with your eyes. But with so much more data, you would actually want to open a new column and start a formula. And you would need a formula to say if there's a difference between their last score and their first score, then show me the difference. And then only the people that have a difference will be the people who increased, and some will be negative numbers, which mean they went down. So that's basically how you would do it.
Thanks. That's helpful.
Okay. Those are good questions. Any other questions?
No, I think we're good for now. Thank you so much.
Perfect. All right, so Nancy is here, so she wants to say a little bit before we go. Thank you so much for being a great audience and for the great questions. Again, this recording will be shared. That's all I want to say, and I'm going to hand it over to Nancy.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, just real quick, just so you know, on the calendar, the transition process tomorrow, Friday at 3 o'clock, we're asking you to not put any new data assessments, anything into MatrixPath, so kind of a hard stop, 3 o'clock. Monday is going to be kind of a quiet day where we're going to be doing that import from MatrixPath into DataSnapz. You're going to be getting, everybody that is a user, admins that we have from MatrixPath will be getting an email about logging into the new system. Hold off on that until you get the kind of the go-ahead. On Tuesday, we should probably have that either Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning, that your DataSnapz accounts are ready to go, and then you can log in, get your password, and all your data should be there. So it's really kind of a 3 o'clock on Friday to stop. Monday, kind of a quiet day, not to enter anything into MatrixPath that it won't show up in DataSnapz, and then wait for the email on Tuesday that says you guys are good to go. So that's kind of what we just wanted to kind of reiterate that. And of course, support at datasnapz.com if you have any questions, or reach out to any of us. I'm happy to answer any further questions as you go along. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks so much for your time.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, a little longer.